Mrs. Kim was humming softly in the kitchen, preparing Tae's favorite soup as if nothing in the world was wrong. She placed the bowls neatly on the tray and carried it upstairs to his room. She knocked softly. "Mrs. Kim, Tae, baby, open the door. I made your favorite." After a pause, the door opened. Tae stood there, expression unreadable, eyes empty but burning underneath. Mrs. Kim smiled warmly, pretending innocence. "Mrs. Kim, see? I told you, life will be peaceful now. No more stress, no more fights. Just you and me, like it's always been." She placed the tray on the table, fussing over him, adjusting his collar like nothing had happened. "Mrs. Kim, don't worry about that girl anymore. She was never right for you. She even dared to use that baby to trap you. TCH, she clicked her tongue, shaking her head. You did the right thing by letting her go. Now we can breathe again." Tae just sat there, silent, watching her carefully. His knuckles were white from gripping the chair arm. Mrs. Kim cupped his face, smiling sweetly. "Mrs. Kim, eat well, HM. Forget her, forget that baby. You're mine, Taehyung, just mine, always." Her words dripped with poison masked as love. Tae let out a bitter chuckle, tilting his head as he stared at her. Tae softly, "Just yours, huh?" Mrs. Kim blinked, startled by his tone, but before she could respond, he leaned back, his gaze sharp. "Tae, you really think you won, don't you?" Her smile flickered for a second, then she forced it back. "Mrs. Kim, of course. Because you chose me, baby, you always will." He nodded slowly, lips curling into the faintest smile. "Cold, dangerous." "Tae, if that's what you believe, Mom. Let's see how long that smile lasts." Mrs. Kim's hands froze midair. Something in his voice made her chest tighten. For the first time, she sensed her control might be slipping, but she forced another laugh, brushing it off. "Mrs. Kim, you're just tired. Rest. Tomorrow, everything will feel lighter. I'll make sure of it." She left the room, her heart hammering, unease clawing at her. Inside, Tae finally allowed the rage to show, slamming his fist against the table, the bowl shaking. "Soups." The knock was soft, hesitant, almost scared. In frowned, opening the door quietly, her heart stilled. It was Tae. His eyes red, his shoulders slumped, the strongest man she knew looking like a lost boy. Without a word, he stepped in, and the moment the door shut behind him, he collapsed to his knees in front of her. His head buried itself in her lap as if he couldn't hold himself up anymore. Tae's body shook with silent sobs, his fingers clutching at her clothes like he was drowning. Tae broken, muffled. "My child must already hate me, thinking what a coward his father is." And eyes filled with tears, she gently slid her fingers through his hair, massaging his scalp in slow circles, the way his soul needed. In softly, "Don't say that, Tae." But Tae only cried harder, his voice cracking. "Tae, I let you down. I let our baby down. I let us down. My mother, she betrayed me, and she's all I had. And she..." His words dissolved into sobs. In's own tears spilled as she leaned down, pressing her forehead against his shaking shoulders. Tae whispering, broken, "I'm the worst man alive. You deserve someone better, so much better. But He raised his face, his eyes swollen, raw. Tae confessing, "I'm selfish, and I can't let you go. I can't let my baby go. Even if I don't deserve you." In cupped his face in her trembling hands, forcing him to look at her. In firm, through tears, "Then never let me go." Tae froze, staring at her like he couldn't believe she still had space in her heart for him after all the pain. His lips quivered as he whispered her name, and in that fragile moment, he clung to her like the only lifeline he had left. The night passed with him asleep in her lap, tears dried on his cheeks, her fingers never leaving his hair. For the first time in weeks, he slept not from peace, but from exhaustion, safe in the warmth he thought he had lost forever. The Kim mansion was quieter now, too quiet. Taehyung still lived there, at least that's what everyone thought. He would come home late, sit at the dinner table, eat in silence while Mrs. Kim chattered about meaningless things, nod politely, and leave without a word. No fights, no questions, no warmth. Mrs. Kim thought he was simply consumed by work, and strangely, she wasn't even guilty. To her, she had saved her son's future. But what she didn't know was that at the very top of Taehyung's office building, in a luxury penthouse hidden from her world, life was blooming. The moment Tae entered there, the stiffness melted off him. Laughter replaced silence, warmth replaced loneliness. Inside, In was waiting baby Taehyung in her arms. The tiny boy, now 4 months old, giggled when he saw his father, chubby hands reaching out. Tae's heart swelled every single time. He would scoop Taehyung into his arms, pepper his soft cheeks with kisses, whispering, "Daddy's here, my prince," and would smile from the kitchen, watching the sight she never thought she'd have again. Sometimes Tae would collapse on the couch, his head in her lap just like that night a year ago, and whisper, This is my real home." Their secret world was filled with joy. Myra and Hymin often visited, their house loud with laughter, teasing, and the sound of baby giggles. Myra and Hymin were now married, bringing even more warmth into this hidden family. In that penthouse, life was colorful, messy, loud, real. Meanwhile, the mansion remained cold and empty. Mrs. Kim still sat by herself at dinners, believing she had won. She didn't realize she had lost her son forever. The waiting area was thick with tension. In had rushed there with Myra, but Hymin quickly stopped her at the corridor. In, wait, your mother-in-law is inside, he whispered urgently. In froze, her body trembled, torn between love and fear. Myra wrapped an arm around her shoulders. It's okay, In, we're here. We'll face whatever comes. Baby Taehyung slept peacefully in his stroller beside them, unaware of the storm raging around his parents. Inside the room, Mrs. Kim sat stiffly in a chair, her hands trembling as she clasped them together. Tears stained her cheeks as the doctor stepped out. "Doctor, is he okay?" Mrs. Kim asked desperately. The doctor sighed with relief. "Yes, he's stable now." The injuries were serious, but we managed to pull him through. "He will wake up soon," Mrs. Kim exhaled sharply, wiping her tears. "Thank God." "Thank you," but the doctor's expression shifted, heavier now. "There is another matter." Hymin stood beside her, tense. "What do you mean?" The doctor glanced between them, voice lowering. "Because of the impact and internal damage. I'm afraid Mr. Kim will never be able to father a child again." The words hit like an earthquake. Mrs. Kim's face went pale, her tears freezing midstream. What? She stammered, Hymin's jaw clenched in shock, his fists tightening. "You mean he can't?" The doctor nodded solemnly. "I'm sorry the accident caused irreparable damage. He will live a healthy life otherwise, but biologically, he cannot become a father anymore." The silence that followed was suffocating. Mrs. Kim's world shattered in that instant. The son she had once considered her legacy, her pride, her future line cut off forever. Her lips trembled, but no words came. Hymin broke the silence, his voice harsh and trembling. "Maybe this is karma." Mrs. Kim's eyes shot to him, wide and wet. He continued, his tone laced with anger and pain. "You wanted to destroy In, separate them, treat her like she wasn't worthy. You thought you could control Taehyung's life? But look what happened. The only child he will ever have is the one you tried to erase from his life." Mrs. Kim's knees gave out, and she collapsed into the chair, her sobs echoing in the hallway. The doctor gave a sympathetic bow and quietly excused himself. "You can meet him when he regains consciousness." And with that, he left them in the wreckage of truth. The room was dim except for the faint hum of the monitor beside Taehyung's bed. He sat upright, his hand clutching the blanket, eyes glassy from the weight of everything he had just heard from the doctor. Taehyung hoarse, broken. "You must be happy now, Mom." Mrs. Kim blinked, startled, Taehyung voice rising, bitter. "I gave up my rights on my child. And look at me, God punished me for it. Isn't this what you wanted? Tears instantly filled Mrs. Kim's eyes. For a moment she looked fragile, guilty even. But then, like a mask slipping, her expression hardened. She wiped her tears quickly and her voice turned sharp, almost feverish, Mrs. Kim whispering, trembling with intensity. No, no. Don't say that. We will get that child. Taehyung's head jerked up, confusion flashing in his tired eyes. Taehyung, what? Mrs. Kim leaning forward, her tone dark. It needs to come back. With the baby, I'll find her, Taehyung. No matter where she runs, I'll bring her back here. That child belongs to us. Hymin, who had been silently standing near the corner, felt his chest tighten. His gaze flicked to Tae, who was staring at his mother like she had grown two heads. Taehyung with a bitter laugh, sarcasm dripping. And what if she's moved on? What if she's with someone else, Mom? Mrs. Kim's face twisted, almost deranged. Mrs. Kim, I don't care. She has to come back with the baby. Do you hear me? She has to. The words echoed in the sterile hospital room, thick with obsession. Taehyung's lips curled into a mocking smirk, but his eyes were hollow. Taehyung cold, quiet, of course. That's all that matters to you, isn't it? Mrs. Kim didn't reply. Instead, she abruptly spun around and stormed out of the room, her heels striking against the linoleum floor like gunshots. The door slammed shut. Mrs. Kim was moving fast, her heels clicking like gunfire against the floor. Hymin stayed back, close enough to hear, far enough not to be caught. Mrs. Kim muttering, half crazed, in ruined it all, she thinks she won. No, Taehyung is mine. That child is mine too. The words made Hymin's stomach twist. By the time she burst through the glass doors into the night air, she was already dialing a number of Mrs. Kim into phone. Urgent. Yes, it's me. I want Lee-in's location, her and the baby. I don't care how much, just find them. Do it fast. Hymin froze, the words stabbing him cold. She was serious. She would hunt them down. Immediately, he pulled out his phone and called Myra. Myra whispering nervously, Hymin, what's happening? Is Tae okay? Hymin quick, low, listen to me carefully. She's outside right now, making calls to Trakin and the baby. Bring in and Taehyung up to Tae's room now while she's gone. Don't wait, lock the door behind you. Myra's gas shook through the phone. Myra, you mean? She really, Hymin cutting in, sharp. Yes, she's gone mad. Move, now. Myra didn't waste a second. She turned to In, who was clutching baby Taehyung against her chest in the quiet, dimmed waiting room where they had been hiding. In's face was pale, her eyes wide with both fear and hope. Myra urgent whisper, she's gone. Hymin stalling her outside. This is our chance, come on. In's knees felt weak, but she nodded, holding Taehyung closer. Together, Myra and In hurried through the side corridor, avoiding the main entrance where Mrs. Kim had gone. Every footstep echoed too loud in In's ears, her heart thudding like a drum. When they reached Tae's room, Myra knocked softly 3 times the signal. Inside, Tae's head shot up, his chest tightened, expecting another doctor or maybe his mother again. But when Myra pushed the door open, his world stopped. In stepped inside with Taehyung in her arms, her eyes already brimming with tears. In voice breaking, rushing to him, Tae. Taehyung's throat closed, his vision blurring as he opened his arms. In carefully placed Taehyung in the cot Myra had wheeled behind them, then collapsed into Tae's embrace. Taehyung choking, clutching her tight. My love, my wifey, you came. In sobbed against his chest, her fingers clutching the hospital gown. In through tears. I was so scared, Tae. I thought I'd lose you, me and Taehyung only have you. Taehyung kissed her temple, tears slipping silently down his cheeks. Taehyung soft, broken, relax. Wifey, I'm okay. Just a small accident. In pulling back, shaking her head. No, don't lie to me. I was terrified. You don't understand, I can't do this without you. Myra stood at the door like a hawk, listening for footsteps, while Taehyung stirred softly in his sleep. Taehyung stroked In's hair, then sighed heavily, his voice dropping. Taehyung confession. Wifey. It was all planned. In froze. Myra's head snapped around. In blinking, stunned. What? Tae looked guilty, but resolute. Taehyung, I bribed the doctor. I'm not that badly hurt. We needed proof. Proof that mom is mentally unstable. It was Hyun's idea. Myra knew too. In's jaw dropped, betrayal flashing across her face. She punched his chest hard enough to make him wince. In furious, crying, You bastard! Do you know how scared I was? How dare you play with me like that? She kept hitting his chest weakly as tears streamed down, her body trembling with leftover fear. Tae grabbed her wrists gently, pulling her into his arms again. Taehyung whispering, broken but steady, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, wifey. But I had to. We needed proof she's dangerous. I couldn't let her win again. Not with you. Not with Taewoo. In cried harder, muffled against his chest, while Myra bit her lip, torn between relief and fury. The night was heavy with silence. In's old apartment was dimly lit, Myra bouncing Taewoo gently in her arms while Hyun paced near the window, restless. In sat on the couch, nerves eating her alive. Tae had insisted she stay here with Myra, Hyun, and Taewoo, while he and the police waited nearby, hidden in the shadows. The clock ticked, each second stretching longer than the last until the door banged open. Mrs. Kim stormed inside, her face twisted with fury. Pack your things, In, she demanded coldly. You're coming with me. In stood, shielding Taewoo behind her, her eyes blazed. I'm not going anywhere with you, she said firmly. I'm not your puppet. Go cry for your son somewhere else, not here. Mrs. Kim's lips curled. Fine, then hand over Taewoo. In tightened her grip on her baby, her voice sharp. No, you have nothing to do with this child. He is my grandson, Mrs. Kim shrieked. Give him to me. In's voice cracked, but her resolve didn't. Your son gave up his parental rights with our divorce. If he has no relation with this child anymore, then how dare you think you do? Rage twisted Mrs. Kim's face. In a sudden, horrifying motion, she reached into her purse and pulled out a gun. Myra gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. You have a gun, she choked out. Hyun stepped forward, his hands raised, his voice trembling but firm. Mrs. Kim, don't be ridiculous. This isn't a game. Put it down. In clutched Taewoo tighter against her chest, her heart pounding. Stay back, she whispered to her baby, rocking him gently as if her love alone could shield him. Mrs. Kim's hand shook, her eyes wide and wild. Give him to me, or I'll shoot you. She screamed. Myra cried out, No. Unbeknownst to Mrs. Kim, the police had been listening to every word through hidden surveillance. The moment the gun was revealed, officers rushed toward the apartment. Tae, who had been waiting outside, sprinted with them. Mrs. Kim's finger tightened on the trigger just as In shouted, You'll never take my child. Unbeknownst to Mrs. Kim, the police had been listening to every word through hidden surveillance. The moment the gun was revealed, officers rushed toward the apartment. Tae, who had been waiting outside, sprinted with them. Mrs. Kim's finger tightened on the trigger just as In shouted, You'll never take my child. But before she could fire, the door burst open. Police swarmed in, tackling Mrs. Kim to the ground, the gun skidding across the floor. She writhed and screamed, Help me. Taehyung, help me, she's framing me, I swear. But Tae didn't move to her. Instead, he walked past, straight to In. His eyes softened the moment they met hers. With trembling hands, he rested them on her shoulder, steadying her shaking form. My wife has done nothing, he said clearly, his voice ringing with finality. Mrs. Kim froze, her face going pale. What, Taehyung? What are you saying? Tae's eyes glistened, but his words were unwavering. I never divorced her, Mom, never. I chose her, not you. The world seemed to tilt. Mrs. Kim's lips trembled, her voice breaking into hysterical shrieks. No, you're lying. You're mine, you're my son. You promised me. She's a witch. She's poisoning you. Her screams echoed as the police restrained her, dragging her out of the apartment. Her body thrashed, her voice rising to an inhuman pitch. Taehyung, you'll regret this. She ruined you. Don't leave me. I'm your mother. But Tae only turned, pulling in Taehyung into his arms. For the first time in months, his shoulders sagged with relief. He kissed the top of his son's head, whispering brokenly, "You're safe." "Both of you are safe." Behind them, Myra clung to Hymin, both shaken and teary-eyed, as Mrs. Kim's cries faded down the hall, her descent into madness undeniable.